The Kansas City Chiefs are but days away from taking on the Indianapolis Colts. And look, the Chiefs are maybe not in do or die situations yet, but if they're not far off. You have to imagine that you need 10 wins to get into the playoffs. Pretty much that's what you need. And this season, it might be 11, guys. Right now, the Chiefs find themselves at 5-5 with 7 games to win at least 5. So, this Colts game is not technically a must-win, but it's a must-win. The Chiefs have to win this game, if for no other reason than to prove to themselves that they can. The Chiefs have not performed great against good teams this year. You look at things, and we thought that Lions win was going to be a quality win. Turns out, maybe not. We thought that Ravens win was going to turn out to be a quality win, and maybe not. The Raiders we knew were going to stink. But there are some things worth talking about with this game coming up so fast. It does seem like it's coming up fast. And if this one seems like it's coming up fast, the next one's going to come up very, very fast. So we will have to keep our eyes open for that. But what are we talking about? Can the Kansas City Chiefs win versus the Indianapolis Colts? Well, let's get into who the Colts are, and then we'll look at a little bit of what the Colts can do, and we'll look at a little bit of what the Chiefs can do. So, the Colts right now are the number 3 seeded team in the NFL. And when we take a step back and look, we thought that the early season schedule was difficult for the Chiefs. Here's the number 1 team in the AFC right now, the team the Chiefs just played and will play again very shortly, currently with a 97% chance of being in the playoffs. Now, the Colts are currently at a 91% chance of going to the playoffs. If they lose, they drop down to 86%, but if they win, they jump all the way up to the same 97% as the Broncos show there. So the Chiefs in a little bit of a different place. The Chiefs not currently in the playoffs. So what are these Colts good at? Well, here are the top teams in the NFL from a yards per game perspective for their offense. The Colts lead the NFL with 397 yards per game. The Chiefs are down here, I believe is that 8th? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th. They are 7th with 32 fewer yards per game than the Indianapolis Colts get on a weekly basis. Just tell me, as we go through this, that the Colts do not remind you of a Dick Vermeil Kansas City Chiefs team. Very good at the run, a whole lot of yards on offense, maybe not as many points on offense, and they started very hot, and the defense is kind of trailing on. Just think about it. You almost expect to see a washed-up has-been quarterback reclaiming his career, the best running back in the NFL. You almost expect Priest Holmes to take a snap in Indianapolis. So the Colts are also number 1 in the NFL in points per game. I know it's a little difficult to see. That's the only graphic I could get that I could also have the Chiefs on. The Colts are scoring 32.1 points per game. The Chiefs down here at 25.4. They're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th in points per game. The Bears, by the way, 373 yards and 25.8 points per game for the Bears this season. Anyway, Bears don't matter. Screw the Bears, right? We're talking about the Chiefs and the Colts. The Colts offense is moving the ball much better than the Kansas City Chiefs and is also scoring better than the Kansas City Chiefs, basically to the tune of 30 yards and a touchdown per game. So when we're asking, can the Chiefs win? They can, but you're looking at a Colts team, if we can go back up here real fast, 8-2 is what this team is versus a 5-5 team, and somehow, at least up to yesterday, the Chiefs were the favored team in this competition. You see a little bit of their schedule here. The Colts beat the Raiders 40-6. They beat the Chargers 38-24. They barely beat the Cardinals, and we're going to get back to something with this game in a moment. They more than doubled up the Titans, and they beat the Steelers, that fourth team in the AFC bracket, by a touchdown, but just a 6-point victory over the Falcons. And here they lost to the Rams. So what can we take from some of these things that the Colts have shown? Well, the Falcons and the Cardinals, two teams that the Colts did not decimate, this is a 3-7 team. This, I'm a little bit messy with my pen. This is a 3-7 team. Both of those games are very close games. The Rams, they're a pretty good team this year. It seems that if the Chiefs want to beat the Colts, they're going to have to go to the NFC very fast. But why I reference the Cardinals and the Falcons, yes, the Colts won those games. Those games were much closer than you would expect from an NFL juggernaut versus a 3-7 team. Now, sometimes that's just the way the football goes, but we do have this from the Cardinals game. Jacoby Brissett, 27 of 44, 320 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. I repeat, Jacoby freaking Brissett, 320 yards, 2 touchdowns, versus the Colts. And again, one of the last things I have to say here, this Colts team really does remind me of a Dick Vermeil team. And if it's really going to remind you of a Dick Vermeil team, then a shootout with the Kansas City Chiefs against a quarterback who can put the ball anywhere, guys, that'll take you back to the Vermeil days real fast, won't it? With an opposing quarterback just throwing the ball all over the field. So can the Chiefs win? Yeah. The Chiefs almost won versus the Chargers. The Chiefs almost won versus the Eagles. The Chiefs almost won versus the Jaguars. The Chiefs almost won. The Chiefs almost won. The Chiefs almost won every game that they lost this year. And the impressive thing about this is, well, first off, something has to come around eventually for the Chiefs. I do not think that they're going to be on a season-long cursed run. But the thing that's really impressive about the Chiefs, when you take a step back and you start looking at these games, not only could they have won, not only is the score close enough that you look at it and you say it's a one-possession ball game, they could have won that game. In actuality, those games were one-possession games. I've talked about this a lot this week because we've been hearkening back to the last season where the Kansas City Chiefs had all of these one-score game victories, etc., that weren't real, true, authentic one-score victories. Why weren't they one-score victories, true and authentically? Because it wasn't like the opposing team could hold the ball and drive the field and win at the end. A lot of those games, the Kansas City Chiefs had the ball with a minute and a half and your opponent's having 0 timeouts, you win. You've won that game. It's just a matter of mathematics at that point. A lot of those games were that way. A lot of those games were a little bit more than one possession, leading into the Kansas City Chiefs' penultimate possession, meaning that they got another possession after this possession, and they get one first down. They don't really have to do a whole lot, and they punt it away. The opponents end up scoring, making it a one-possession game. It had been 10 points, it had been 9 points, it had been 8 points. The opponents score, and then the Chiefs get the ball back with 1:30. Their opponents having 0 timeouts, and it's mathematical. None of those games were really that way for the Kansas City Chiefs opponents this year, meaning that they did not beat the Kansas City Chiefs in that same fashion that the Kansas City Chiefs were beating opponents last year. So the Kansas City Chiefs have been in every game so far this season. They could have won any of those games, but they didn't. Find themselves 5-5. Yes, it's true, winning is a skill and losing is the lack of that skill. But that is not definitive. That is not all the time. The Kansas City Chiefs do enough, well enough, and have, again, I have to say it, the most talented roster of the Patrick Mahomes era, in my opinion, player 1 through 53. The Chiefs do enough that at some point, those weird victories have to, or those weird losses, those just barely losses, has to turn around. It has to come back for the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Colts are a really good football team. I think the Broncos are better. The Colts are a really good football team. I think there's several teams in the NFL that are better. So the Chiefs might not have the record to suggest that they should be on the field with the Colts this weekend. I think that they're going to win, and I think that part of that winning process is waking up, realizing that they have what it takes to do this. And that sounds pep talky, that sounds Pop Warner-ish, but they realized that all of last year and put themselves in the position to win. And it has not panned out this year. So at some point it's going to, and if it starts, this would be a really good weekend for it to start happening. Anyway, guys, that's what I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week, and I hope to have you back for the next one.